Hey, what's going on, everyone? I'm Rob. This is my partner Tariq upstairs up here. We're bringing you the first episode of the Skirmish Blitz Gauntlet series, brought to you by Legend Story Studios. Here, we're knee deep in week one of Skirmish Blitz, the Skirmish season 4, through all throughout the world here, and we just wanted to bring you a pretty solid game of what we think is some of the highest level heroes currently in the Blitz metagame. Tark, do you want to let our viewers know a little bit more about the game you and I are going to play today?
Yeah, for sure. So recently in Leeds over in the UK, there was
A battle hardened.
that was finals by UK national champion Matthew Folks and the eventual winner Francesco Giorgio, who is piloting Oldhim. So today, Rob and I will be taking their respective decks and functionally having a rematch of the finals over in UK.
Absolutely. We're playing Oldhim, Viserai, follow along and see how we do with this Blitz game. So without further ado, we'll just kind of dive right into the game here. And yeah, so I'm on the right playing Oldhim, and then Tariq is on the left here playing young Viserai.
That's absolutely right. And right off the bat, I think the first thing to notice is that I'm playing Vexing Quillhand over the more common Grasp of the Arknight. Going in, you don't know whether your opponent's going to be on a more aggressive build of Oldhim or a fatigue version of Oldhim. So I'm hedging for a little bit more of an aggressive Vexing Quillhand, which functionally lets me start with the yellow read the runes, in play already.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Vexing Quillhand, one of the new Runeblade equipment, majestic equipments out of the newest set, Everfest. So be on the lookout for that. Really sweet piece of tech, especially when you're kind of going for like an OTK pop-off turn, right?
That's absolutely right. And right away, we can see Rob heaving a Pulverize into his arsenal. Probably the most aggressive line that a Guardian player can take turn one.
Yeah, you don't see that happen very often, but this build plays quite a few blues, and really just trying to be the aggressor from the get-go, I think can definitely benefit us if we hit at least 2 more blues going into next turn.
Yeah, and right here we see me lead with arguably Viserai's strongest card in Mordred Tides into Sonata Arcanics. Unfortunately, missed a critical Sonata there. I really needed, ideally, a blue attack action so I could play the cards in my hand. I had a big turn with a Meet and Greet, followed by a Rosetta Thorn potentially as a follow-up, and was going to set Rattlebones and Arsenal. But a whiff of Sonata means that I'm stuck with 2 reds in hand and not really able to kind of cobble together much of anything this turn, which can happen occasionally with Sonata. It's one of the reasons that the ratios in your deck are very important. So right here, my turn's kind of stymied by the Miss Sonata. I'm going ahead and just cashing in my Vexing Quillhand for the extra rune chant now while the Mordred Tide is there. Every little point matters. And we're going to try and set up for an aggressive turn next turn.
Yeah, so by doing so, kind of going into my turn here as the Oldhim player, I kind of get free reign to set off this Pulverize. Pulverize is another sweet card out of Everfest. Definitely the largest attack in terms of like attack value in the game so far at 14. Also has a pretty sweet on-hit effect. If it does hit, the opposing hero's first attack the next turn gets -4. It almost kind of blanks their turn and gives the turn back to you, so to say. It definitely gives you a lot of tempo. Great tool that all the Guardians got out of Everfest as well.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And, going into this turn, we kind of knew it was going to be a potential off turn next turn because this Pulverize would be hitting us. At this point, aggro Viserai and combo Viserai kind of mold together in Blitz format due to the lower life totals. It doesn't require a huge setup to be able to kill your opponent off 20 life. So I know I'm probably not going to be able to return volley after this Pulverize attack. So we're very much in damage control mode here, want to get our blocks in while we can, make another couple rune chants, and then hope to get a good equipment block 2 turns down the line and try and swing the tide of battle that way.
Looks like Tariq's going to take 6 here off of this Pulverize. He is left with a Gorganian Tome. in hand that does not block, so may have an effect on his turn. He does only get to he will be able to create a rune chant here, which is pretty sweet. Not drawing an attack action, as he probably didn't want to go off right away because of the pulverize -4 ability. It was still in effect.
Yeah, and here is where we're kind of really looking to pivot. We have 6 rune chants on the battlefield, meaning that the life totals are functionally almost equal, despite me not having done almost anything this game yet. So really, if Rob puts together a mediocre turn, we can give him the 2 pieces of armor, block the 4 damage if there's a winter whale coming our way, and we can possibly return volley and put on the tempo for the rest of the game. So Rob leading with an Enlightened Strike with Go again means that we're likely going to be facing a Winter's Whale behind it for 9 damage total.
Enlightened Strike, big in this deck, just big in general. I mean, the card is a mainstay in a lot of different decks out there, and being able to split the damage up. Traditional Guardians kind of come in with like big attacks. Enlightened Strike can definitely, keep the tempo going or whatnot.
And I definitely am struggling to use just the basic life total here, but we figured it out in the end. Rob, going to come in with that predictable ice hammer that we kind of knew about, and this is the perfect time we can give him the equipment to block. Now, my hand is probably one of the more difficult hands I've gotten from Viserai in these spots. I believe it's a 9th Blade, a Become the Arknight, another Rattlebones, and a Revel in Runeblood. So I have several options here, and I believe in real life I tank for quite a bit of time trying to figure out what the most optimal play is. The most conservative one is to just pitch the blue, to Become the Arknight, just come in with the 9th Blade and see what happens, because I have the 6 rune chance. I have the option of even popping Skalita and coming in with 9th Blade for no mana and holding the Become the Arknight, and that would then allow me to play the Rattlebones for functionally 2 mana, 2 resources should the arcane damage goes through. But the wrinkle in that plan is if Rob has 2 blue cards in his hand, he can just pitch, block all the arcane damage, know that I likely cannot give my attack go again. I can still use the creepers, but he can play around Rattlebones that way and make my life very awkward. The other wrinkle in there is also Stalagmite, right? Making any attack basically cause an extra resource on my turn really causes a difficult situation for me and in terms of what I should be doing to sequence the play. So definitely an interesting line, and if viewers at home want to pause it and go back and you think you have a better line there, I would love to hear it.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's so many different, like you said, so many different kind of disruption, as you will, that Oldhim can kind of throw at you with Stalagmite or that Ice React. Even just being at 20 life, having just on board, right? You have the Crown of Siege, which can block for 1 by filtering the arsenal. The Tectonic Plate and the Crater Fist can each block for 2. So definitely, Tariq's going to have to push through a lot of damage here to really make a dent at this point in the game. Blitz games, they're shorter, they're quicker. It is designed that way. It's an excellent format, and I think you really have to kind of have your foot on the gas. Aggro decks somewhat shine, I think, in Blitz a little bit more than maybe CC. But you're kind of seeing what all the different lines are right here that Tariq's kind of going through in his head.
Yeah, and right now I think the big 2 things I'm considering is, do I get the Mordred Tide or do I get the Marvin Skies for the Inherent Go again? Because remember, I still have the Skalita on field, so my Rattlebones that I have in hand is functionally no cost to me. So it's what's the likelihood that Rob is going to be pitching and stopping all this arcane? All these factors need to come into play, and I think maybe I'm good enough if I can just hit him for 9 + 6, which is still 15 damage to the face, right, that he has to deal with, and I still have Go again. So opt to go with the Marvin Skies here. I will pop the Skalita to play the Rattlebones, because remember, Rattlebones is free, and then the Skalita discount will also apply to the 9th Blade that I will end up playing from Arsenal to give me a functionally a 16 damage attack right here.
Yeah, a lot of damage, very scary. We might have something in store for Tariq though. Guardian's got a new card out of Tales of Aria called Awakening. So, potentially, I think I do have one in my hand right here, which, if I'm at somewhat of a life deficit, I can play Awakening and go search for a Guardian attack action that equals the difference based upon how many Seismic Surge tokens I make. So, I'm contemplating whether just blocking all this damage out and trying to play for a defensive play here, or just really going with kind of the nail in the coffin and playing Awakening, trying to go get that last Pulverize in my deck. If I have a card called Tear Asunder, I could play Tear Asunder beforehand and really just kind of have a blowout turn here. Maybe come in for 15 dominate.
Yep, and it's never good to see, a Guardian player only give you equipment, because there's about to be a volley returned your way if you're not careful. So Rob blocks with 6, ends up taking an additional 3, and in the back of my mind here, I'm thinking, about Awakening potentially, but what else could he have, right? The big issue with playing around Awakening in this spot is if I just say, okay, go ahead and pass the turn, then he's left with a 5-card hand and I'm at 9 life. There's no guarantee I can ever turn the corner again. So it's one of those cards that you just, if they have it, they have it. And you kind of just have to play and make them have it in these spots. Because if they don't, and you leave them with a 5-card hand, there's no coming back from this spot either.
Yeah, absolutely. You definitely need to continue the pressure on the Guardian player's hand. There's so many threats. It could be Tear Asunder into a big attack. It can be Rouse the Ancients, which this deck also does play, into an Ice Hammer, another big attack. Enlightened Strike. There's tools in this deck that allow you to go tall with things like Pummel, or the big Guardian attacks like Spinal Crush. Even some of the new blue Guardian attacks that come in for 8 out of Everfest. There's also just it can go wide, so it's very Oldhim is very versatile, and then also can pitch to Tariq is also playing around here. Maybe Ice Reacts. He's thinking maybe just pitching the cards as to maybe just losing them to an Ice React and having no arsenal in general.
Yeah, it's kind of unfortunate because had that Rattlebones been a yellow or a blue card, we would have been able to come in for 4 more damage, or 5 more, excuse me, with Revel and Runeblood, and that would have probably gotten at least another card or 2 from Rob's hand. But as it is, he has the Awakening. He has some redundancy anyways. Fuses it, is able to get the Pulverize from his deck, his second Pulverize. Remember, in fact, he did have one turn 1. And, our back's against the wall here for sure. 14, such a massive, massive attack when all you start with is 20 life.
Yeah, fusing it with the Pulse. We have the Pulse in hand. 2 cards left as well. So we have 3 cards in hand. Now we're going to put Pulverize. We're going to make 12 Seismic Surges, which will pop at the beginning of our turn. We still have equipment if we can't really make a dent into Tariq this turn. That we can kind of fall back on. But I think with taking that much damage, we took 17 damage that turn, and all for a reason to go get that second Pulverize out of the deck. The reason being is because I have a Tear Asunder in hand. I probably would never do this, and had I not had Tear Asunder is actually a card that we got to spoil, when that was coming out. It's a Guardian non-attack action. Gives your next Guardian attack +1 dominate, and if it hits, they discard 2 cards. So Tear Asunder is an absolute house of a card. So we just have to pitch that 1 blue, which is going to be the Pulse, and it's going to make Pulverize be free and come in for 15 dominate. Pretty wild play there.
Yep, and nothing I can do because it is dominated, and now you just end up taking lethal damage.
Yep. So let us know what you all think about this game. We're gonna have a couple more videos in this Blitz Skirmish Gauntlet series coming out quite soon. We're gonna play a couple different games and whatnot, a couple different matchups. We really we just kind of want to give some showcase to some of maybe the more competitive side of Blitz in this video. In one of the matches that we play during this series, we're gonna have maybe some more heroes that you don't see quite as played as often, and you know, it's definitely up in the air what we might play next.
Yeah, for sure. And Blitz is a format I love. You know, the games are short, they're super sweet, they're very action intensive, they're very back and forth. It's a great format to jump into if you're newer to the game. You can build a deck with a smaller collection. There's a lot more variety than some of the classic constructed metagames of the past. Almost every deck is viable because of the lower life total, because of the wider hero pool, and because of the new kind of interactions and ways you can build decks. So definitely a fun series, and I'm glad we're doing this with LSS. And I hope you all enjoyed it. And I'll look forward to playing some more games with Rob and seeing you all next week.
Absolutely. Take it easy. We'll catch you all soon.